Look, the reason we're shouting is we're thankfully, for once, in South London, my part of the world, on the busy, noisy streets of South London. And we're here because we're at South Bank University, which used to be South Bank Poly until a year or two ago. And they've done some amazing things here. The students and the lecturers in the engineering department here in South London have actually got together, spent a few £1,000s, peanut money as they say, to build a solar-powered car. A car that relies on nothing but the good old British sunshine. What did they do with that car? They took it to Australia, they competed in the biggest solar-powered car race in the world, they took on the likes of Honda and some of the other big car manufacturers on this planet, and they did pretty well for themselves. Now the idea is we're going to go in and speak to some of the guys involved, and with a bit of luck, might even get to drive what is one of Britain's only solar-powered cars. Well, I'm joined by Mike Duke, the senior engineering lecturer here at South Bank, what I used to know as South Bank Poly, South Bank Polytechnic, but these days, Mike, it's South Bank University.
Yeah, I'm afraid every polytechnic now is a university, you know, all been upgraded, so to speak.
Well, that's another story. First of all, I should explain that I know his name's Mike Duke because high-tech, white coat, felt pen, M Duke. So that works well. Mike, come on, let's get down to serious business. Right. This car, you've been out to Australia in this car. This is a solar-powered car, but here we are, we're virtually into June, and you don't need to be a genius to work out that you don't get a great deal of sun in Britain. So how much sun do you need to power a solar-powered car?
Well, it all depends on how far you want to go. I mean, this car on a day like today will probably do about 100 kilometres. So on a really sunny day, it'll do 500 kilometres. So if you want to drive 100 kilometres every day, which is what's that, about 60 miles, then this car would do the business.
So what you're really saying, Mike, is that the British climate is, well, could be ideal for solar-powered cars. Although that we don't get too much sunshine, you do get enough sunshine to power one of these things.
Yeah, it just depends on how far you want to go. Like I say, we're going to build a car for the Millennium, the 2000, which is going to be just a commuter car for London. And you know, you won't be like this. This is a racing car. It'll be a car with a couple of doors you get in, you know, enough space for take your shopping in, and we'll prove it.
I was going to say, why is this thing such a ridiculous shape?
Because this is the rules in Australia. Say if you want to, you know, it says it could be 6 metres long, 2 metres wide, single seater, 8 square metres of solar cell. It's like the race regulation. So we built it to the regs, and this is pretty much how they come out.
I know it's a difficult question to answer, but if we are talking about mass production of solar-powered cars, perhaps for people in cities, what sort of cost are we talking about? Can we say they're 50% more expensive, 50% less expensive to build? You know, is there any ballpark figures you can throw us?
This is peanut money. This is probably the cheapest car in the race, 20,000 quid.
And how would that compare? I seem to remember there are those fancy ads at the moment for the Honda, which I think won the event.
Yeah.
And if you think of a huge Japanese corporation like that, no wonder. What sort of money would they have spent?
Well, the estimates are somewhere between 10 and 20 million, around that.
You're kidding.
No, when they went out there, they had a team of 140 people went with them. We had 5. I mean, it's just a different level of technology they're working on.
Are we ever talking about the stage where people will be able to use solar-powered cars as ordinary everyday cars, maybe in cities, low speeds, low mileage?
Yeah, there's no problem with that at all. But I think what you have to remember is like that it's a bit like the water in the reverse. You know, during the summertime, everything gets charged up. You know, you might have batteries at home which are charged up, and batteries on the car which are charged up. And during the wintertime, they'll gradually run down until the summer comes again. And whereas water's the opposite. You know, we fill our reservoirs during the wintertime and then drain them down during the summer. So it's just it's like the reverse of the water. And it certainly could be done. But if you want to travel really long distances, then just purely solar power like this isn't quite yet viable.
So it seems like there's a valid comparison there with, say, battery-powered cars. Low mileage, fairly low speeds, limited use, probably a viable second car.
I think in the future, see, it's all about legislation. It's if people don't want, you know, fumes in their cities, for example, and don't want kids getting asthma and all that stuff, then they'll legislate against petrol cars, and so they'll just have to head towards this type of vehicle. And when there's a change in legislation, suddenly you'll notice a massive improvement in the performance of these cars because everybody will be working on them.
One last question I've got to ask you. You're a senior engineering lecturer at South Bank University, and you're how old exactly?
33.
I must be getting old. 7 years younger than me, and he's a university lecturer.